Hello again. Welcome to another lesson in Algebra 1. Today we are covering section 4.3, graphing using x and y intercepts. All right, so your warm-up today, it said, what is the domain and range of each graph? So we have domain and range. So remember, domain is the list of all the inputs, and range is the list of all the outputs. So let's find our domain first. Inputs are our x, that's our left and right. And we only have restriction on one side, and it seems like it starts at -3. Okay, so it's -3, and it keeps on going forever in this direction, so its x is greater than -3. Notice no equal to because the circle is not filled in there. Okay, now our range, let's do that in a different color, is our list of all of our outputs, so that's the up and down. So the up and down, this graph starts at +3 and goes up forever. So y and +3. Since y is always bigger than +3, we're going to go this way. So all the y coordinates are bigger than +3. So for instance, if we picked a point on here like this one, which is 1, 7, then 1 would be inside our domain. This is our x, so 1's greater than -3. And 7 would be in our range because 7 is greater than +3. Okay, 7 is our y coordinate. Okay, so the list of all the x and y coordinates that cover this line are included in this domain and range. All right, same thing for our number 2. This time we have restrictions on both sides. So let's do the domain in blue. So the domain starts here and goes to here. So the inputs are from -6 all the way up to +3. So we'll put an X in between. We know we want our alligators to always eat the bigger one. Okay, and then since these are both filled in, they both get bars. Right? Now the range is the up and downs. So the range starts here and goes all the way up to here. So this is between 2 and 7. So 2, y, and 7. And once again, we eat towards the bigger side, and they get bars because the points are filled in. Okay. All right, second part, solve each for y. 2y minus 8x equals 12. So we want to write y as a function of x, so I will add 8x to both sides. This will give me 2y equals 8x plus 12. And then I'll divide by 2, and we get y equals 4x plus 6. Remember over here, 8x divided by 2 makes 4x, and 12 divided by 2 makes 6. Okay. And number 4, it's actually easier to add 3y to both sides first. That'll get all the y's on this one side by itself. Oops, should be -8 here. And then 3y over there. Then I need to just divide both sides by 3. This is going to make some fractions. That's perfectly fine. So we'll have 5/3 x minus 8/3. And you can just go ahead and leave them both as improper fractions. So here is y written as a function of x, which is also the same directions as solve for y. All right, second page. We have a couple more review problems here. So write an equation that matches each data. So remember, we find the starting value, okay, which is 3. And then we need to find out what the changer is. So this goes up by 6. This goes up by 1. So 6 divided by 1 makes 6x. Okay. We test it by picking a point, like maybe 4. So 6 times 4 is 24, plus 3 makes 27. So the input 4 does make the output 27. All right, the second one. Our starting value, we have to back up a little bit, so we put a 0 here, and then this is going to be adding 5 to back up, so it'll be 30. And then we're going down by 5 on this side and up by 1 on that side, so this is -5x. Okay, pick a point to check. So I'm going to pick 4 here. So the input 4 makes -20 plus 30, which is the output 10, so it did work. Okay, and then our last one here. The starting value is 10, which when x is 0. This is going up by 6. This is going up by 2, so this would be 3x plus 10. So we're going to get y equals 3x plus 10. And if you check 6, 6 times 3 is 18, add on 10 will make 28. All right, what is the minimum number of points needed to graph a line? And why? Please write a complete sentence. So my minimum points would be 2. Okay, any less, and the line could not be determined. Okay, and here's why. So let's say we had this grid, and I only graphed 1 point. Well, let's draw some lines that could go through this 1 point. So your line could be there, but it could also be there, or it could also be there, and there'd be infinite ways to go through that 1 point. However, if I draw a grid and I graph 2 points, there is only one way to draw a straight line that goes through both points. Okay, so 2 is the minimum amount. All right. So these next questions will lead us into a way to graph without having to make big tables. So let's take a look at it. What is the y-coordinate of the point where the line graphed at the right crosses the x-axis? So here's where the line crosses the x-axis. It's right there. Okay, and this coordinate is 4, 0. And this asked us, what is the y-coordinate? So remember, the coordinates always come x, y. So the y-coordinate is 0. Okay. What is the x-coordinate of the point where the line graphed at the right crosses the y-axis? So it crosses the y-axis right here. This is at 0, 5, and it asked us for our x-coordinate, and the x-coordinate is also 0. So what do you think the y-coordinate of a point where the line crosses the x-axis will always be? Okay, well, all coordinates that cross the x-axis, so all these dots have a y-coordinate of 0. So this answer is 0. How about the x-coordinate of a point where the line crosses the y-axis? These places are all the places where it crosses the y-axis. And all of them have an x-coordinate of 0. Okay? All right, so a key concept here. We're going to use this information we just talked about for our key concept. You can use those facts to quickly graph a line. 2 convenient points to find are the x-intercept and the y-intercept. And the reason why they're convenient is because one of the coordinates is 0. Makes it really easy to find the other part. So the x-intercept is the place where the line crosses the x-axis. Intercept means to cross. And the y-intercept is the place where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay? So if we flip that over, let's put that information to use. So find the x and y-intercept of this graph. 4x plus 2y, 7y equals 28. So to find the x-intercept, we substitute 0 for y. Remember, the x-intercept are the points on the x-axis. And all of these points on the x-axis have some x value and 0 for the y part. So if we let y be 0, so I take this y, I replace it with 0, then 7 times 0 just goes away, so we get 4x equals 28, and then we solve that and we find out that x is 7. That means the x-intercept is 7. So when y is 0, we go 7 to this way. So 5, 6, 7, and then we don't go up or down. So this point is at 7, 0, and it makes our equation be true. Okay. All right, then we do the same thing for finding the y-intercept. Except on the y-intercepts, remember, the x value is 0. Okay? All of those points on the y-axis come in the form of 0 and then some y. Okay? So if I let x be 0, that part goes away. Then we solve for 7y equals 28 to get y is 4. So the y-intercept is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And that's because when x is 0, y is 4. Okay, now we have our 2 points, and that's all we need to graph. So we just draw a line between the 2 points and goes across the grid. And then we write 4x plus 7y equals 28. So to recap one more time, to find an x-intercept, you let y be 0 and solve for x. Because we're trying to find the x1, we want the y part of the equation to go away. To find the y-intercept, we let x be 0, so it goes away, and then we solve for y. So let's try a couple so we get it down. So find the x and y intercepts of the graph of each equation. So x-intercept. All right, so let's do the work right under here. The x-intercept means I want to solve for x when y is 0. So I solve this. 3x equals 6, so x is 2. So my x-intercept is 2. And then we do the y-intercept. Okay, the y-intercept means solve for y when x is 0. So we want to find out what y would be if x was 0. So this 3, 0 times 0 goes away. We get 2y equals 6, so y is 3. So there's our x and y intercepts. The x-intercept is 2. The y-intercept is 3. Now remember, x-intercept of 2 corresponds to the place where it crosses on the x-axis. So that's really the coordinate 2, 0. And this guy, the place where it crosses on the y-axis, is really the coordinate 0, 3. Okay? All right, number 9. Find our x-intercept again. Let's do it in blue this time so we get confused with the other side. So x-intercept is solve for x, so leave the x there, when y is 0. So I'd solve this. I get 4x is 10, and x would be 2.5. So our x-intercept is 2.5. Okay, and then we want to get the y-intercept. The y-intercept is solve for y when x is 0. Okay, so we get negative 2y is 10. Cross out the 4 and the 0 because they times together to make 0. And y is negative 5. Notice all these made really short equations to solve for. Okay, and once again, an x-intercept, remember, is on the x-axis. So it has the x-coordinate of 2.5 and the y-coordinate will always be 0. And a y-intercept is on the y-axis. So the x-coordinate will always be 0. And in this case, the y-coordinate is negative 5. Okay, last two. We're going to use these information to help make our graph. So same thing. Find the x-intercept, find the y-intercept, and then we'll make a graph. Okay, so x-intercept. X-intercept is solve for x when the y value is 0. So we get x is 4. So we put a point at 4 on the x-axis. Okay. Y-intercept is solve for y when x is 0. So we let x be 0, and then we solve for y. So y is 2. So we get a point at 2 on the y-axis. All we need is 2 points to make a graph. So we connect them and extend on past. Okay, and we're going to get x plus 2y equals 4. And we're done. Okay, so very fast way to graph. All right, so now to number 11. Okay, our last one. We have to find the x-intercept. We have to find the y-intercept. Okay, to find the x-intercept, that's solve for x when y is 0. So 0 equals negative 8 plus 4x. We add 8 to both sides. We get 8 equals 4x. And then we divide by 4 to both sides to get x is 2. So this is a place where we have to solve a two-step equation. Okay, so we'll put 2 on the x-axis because the x-intercept is on the x-axis. Now to find the y-intercept, okay, we solve for y when x is 0. So y equals negative 8 plus 4 times 0, which is y equals negative 8. Okay, so we put negative 8 on the y-axis. And then we draw our line through there. And then I'll go up this way. And we write y equals negative 8 plus 4x. All right, so that concludes the notes for the day. Now, I really suggest you get started on this Khan Academy part. So start the Khan Academy recommendation about finding x and y intercepts. It's actually very short while it's fresh in your mind. Okay, but if you don't start it or you don't finish, it is due no later than the morning after the next class. Okay, I will see you in class next time.